Today's other main news now, and the government has decided to abandon the expensive and controversial Regional Fire Control Centre at Taunton. It would have handled calls from right across the region.
It's now trying to decide what's to do with a chain of 9 such centres, which have already cost more than £200 million and will now not be used. Here's our political correspondent, Bob Constantine.
It should have been open 3 years ago, but like the other fire control centres around the country, this one at Taunton is lying empty and idle, delayed by endless computer problems. Now the government has called a halt, wasting the £230 million already spent, but saving a further £200 million needed to get them up and running.
Well, this is good news. Good news for the fire service and good news for the public, but at what a cost. You know, this project's gone on for a number of years. It's caused massive disruption. It cost hundreds of millions of pounds of taxpayers' money. Yes, it's good the government scrapped it, but if the government had listened to us in the first place, this mistake wouldn't have been made.
The idea, conceived by the last government, was to reduce 46 fire control centres to just 9. The Taunton one would have handled calls from across the entire southwest. The decision to scrap them came after talks between the Fire Minister and the IT contractor conceded, formerly EADS. The Minister said, "We have jointly concluded that the requirements of the project cannot be delivered to an acceptable time frame. Therefore, the best outcome for the taxpayer and the fire and rescue community is for the contract to be terminated with immediate effect."
I very much welcome this decision, and indeed I've been campaigning for it now for a number of years. I've called debates in Parliament, spoken to ministers, written to people. I've been campaigning very hard on this one, and I'm very, very glad that the government has listened to reason and has cancelled this ridiculous project.
The decision means that county fire services will have to upgrade their own centres, which several have done anyway. The government's now trying to find another use for the Taunton building, which is costing £156,000 a month in rent and upkeep.
Well, Bob joins us now, and Bob, the coalition government is certainly selling this as a major error on the part of the former Labour government, isn't it?
Well, yes, in 2 different ways, both on the grounds of cost. This was conceived in the good times, has to be paid for in the bad times, but also the concept behind it. Although some fire officers did support the idea of a regional control centre, the government, and this is driven by the Conservatives obviously, is saying that any replacement will be driven by the principles of localism. In other words, local control centres, not these vast regional structures.
And what about the future of that building in Taunton that you talked about, what was going to be the new control centre, just standing there empty, costing tens of thousands of pounds?
Well, perhaps optimistically, the government is still hoping to find some rescue services that can use the building. It's purpose-built for that purpose, and they're hoping that they can find somebody to move into it. But up to now, fire authorities across the region have said they don't want to go there, except in London, where it will be put to that use. Otherwise, the government's having to look around for some other use. But of course, there is still the outstanding problem of what to do with the IT systems, which haven't been properly designed yet. And it seems that it was the failure in that area that enabled the government to walk away from the project without paying penalty clauses.
OK, Bob, thanks very much indeed.